Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham. Great to have you with us, and with my wife, Natalie Blackham, for a special Israel First update from our studios in Jerusalem, looking at the news from Israel, looking behind the scenes. There's a very important story which is going on in Israel at the moment, and I just happened, and I've referred to this newspaper before, the Times. I picked this up when I was recently in England, the Times newspaper from the UK. And if we open it up, there's a story right in the centre, and it's got a picture, and it says, "Protesters die in clashes at Gaza border." Protesters die in clashes at Gaza border. And I wanted to talk about, and Natalie's felt the same, you've been also concerned about this, the truth behind what's really happening with the so-called protests at the Gaza border. And since the 30th of March 2018, there have been violent riots and even armed attacks at the Gaza border. The so-called protests have included the burning of tires, rock throwing, attempts to set fire to the border fence, and discharging of Molotov cocktails, bombs, grenades, and in one case even live gunfire at the Israeli army. There have been attempts by rioters to breach the border fence and illegally enter Israel, and Hamas terrorists have used the protests as cover to enter Israel with knives and grenades. Kites with firebombs attached were flown across the border into Israel and have caused damage to fields and buildings.
And especially now, because it's coming to summer, so it's getting dry.
The warm weather.
Yeah.
And Richard Kemp, who is the former commander of the British forces in Afghanistan, took the media, that's the world media, to task and said that the media didn't necessarily understand fully the situation. Specifically, Kemp said that this is not a peaceful demonstration, as is often portrayed by the media, but is a deliberate and specific intent by a major terrorist organization, which is recognized as a terrorist organization around the world, to penetrate the border of the state of Israel by terrorists.
Now, the thing is like they are using the protesters and putting terrorists in the middle of them. And I was looking at some videos where you can see it's done with strategy. It's not just, it's not a march to go back to Jerusalem peacefully, and this is not true. And like, it really has upset me to see how the media outside of Israel, how they are really speaking about these Gaza things, and like, oh, poor people from Gaza, they are protesting. Okay, if they want to protest, they can protest, but they are like terrorists in the midst of them. They are bringing the children at the front, they are bringing the women at the front to have the
Human
IDF,
shield, really.
to have the IDF, can kill them not because they want to, but because they are there on the front line, and it's the front line of war with Gaza.
And it's something we've been talking about, and you'll be able to see programs. We've recently done 2 interviews, one with Tamar Stern Tau from Camera, and we've also done one with Sean Sachs from NGO Monitor, which was basically about the same thing, the truth of the media. And the thing is, what you need to know is that these protests which are happening are being controlled by terrorists, and the media maybe in your country where you're watching, whether that's be in the United States or in Europe or Africa, the media is not telling you the truth. They're putting it forward as a problem of civilians standing next to a fence. It's not. These are terrorists who are taking advantage of a so-called protest and are using it to attack Israel.
And not only that, when you look at the things, okay, like big picture, okay, not just like at the border, but you just think, Hamas know that the IDF is strong. So they are not sending so much missiles because they know that if they do that, the IDF really retaliates. So they are like thinking, okay, it doesn't work. Let us do something with the people because it's so much dangerous. And the IDF might kill some people. And we have a great story on the press because the press is with Hamas. And they are so against Israel all the time, and it's really upsetting to see that.
And the bias in the media also comes across not just from the civilians who are standing there. There was one particular picture, and I've just shown you the one from the Times, but there was one particular picture of an Arab lady standing by the fence with her arms in the air, and people were saying, well, this is the poor Palestinian lady next to the fence. However, what you need to know, as we were saying, there was a terrorist using this. They're also flying kites, which seems to be, again, as Natalie was saying, doesn't seem to be dangerous. But these kites have bombs, have petrol bombs attached to them. And a terrorist firebomb, in fact, from Gaza caused a massive fire in southern Israel, the largest blaze since Palestinian Arab terrorists started using this new arson tactic, and it burnt for 6 hours in the Be'eri forest. 10 Israeli firefighting crews worked to bring the flames under control. The incendiary fire is the biggest fire that's been caused so far. There were no casualties so far reported, but it's the biggest damage that's been caused. There's been a lot of acres of land, and as Natalie was saying, this time of year the land is very dry. And by the way,
it's getting more and more dry. But when you see all these things again, it's like little. I mean, what they are doing is kites. Like now, the new thing now, I saw today on the news that they are sending balloons. And like balloons go even further. Okay, you need to know that the wind most of the time go from west to east. So it means that from Gaza to Israel. So it's very simple for them to just send something in the air and suddenly it will go on the right side, it will go to Israel. Okay, but you need to know that also the IDF, what the IDF is doing
Israeli
is to
army.
protect the border, to protect the civilians. And like Hamas is bringing people to do riots and people who wants to go behind the border. And if they can't, they are sending fire from the, it's like crazy. But they are not doing so many missiles because they know that if they have missiles, the IDF come with the Air Force. So they are playing another tactic, because they know that the press is with them.
That's why it's so important for you. I know many of you are watching is advocates for Israel to make sure that you speak to your station, speak to your newspaper, speak to those people who social media, that you make sure you can go to our Facebook. We put stories like this every day on the Israel First Facebook, and the details are on the screen. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Many of you have said, well, we've missed the program, we want to catch up. You can catch up on the YouTube channel, and as well as that, you can go to our website, and there's a newsletter. We do a newsletter every week with a summary of the news from Israel. We received a special invitation, didn't we? The media, the journalists in Israel. Suddenly there was this big thing, a big invitation from Netanyahu and the Prime Minister's office about a big announcement. And Natalie, you've got something to say about that.
It was said in the afternoon, it was beginning of the week, and it was like, okay, Netanyahu is going to speak and saying something important. So everybody was waiting, and at 8 o'clock, he was speaking, and it was live, but now you can go and look at the YouTube, and we want now to show you the highlights of what he was saying, because it's very important. And again, you might hear again what he said by your press in your country, and they are going to down, not making it so serious, but what he was saying was very serious, and they find half a ton of information from Iran, and you can watch that. This is especially for you.
Iran lied. Big time. After signing the nuclear deal in 2015, Iran intensified its efforts to hide its secret nuclear files. In 2017, Iran moved its nuclear weapons files to a highly secret location in Tehran. This is the Shorabad district in southern Tehran. This is where they kept the atomic archives, right here. Israel obtained half a ton of the material inside these vaults. And here's what we got. 55,000 pages. Another 55,000 files on 183 CDs. We've shared this material with the United States, and the United States can vouch for its authenticity. We will also share it with other countries, and we'll share it with the International Atomic Energy Agency. This is an original Iranian presentation from these files. And here's the mission statement. Design, produce, and test 5 warheads, each with 10 kiloton TNT yield for integration on a missile. This is an original Iranian spreadsheet from the archives of Project Ahmad. Look at what it has here. Yellow cake production, centrifuge enrichment process, warhead project, simulation project, and test. And indeed, when we analyzed what's in these archives, we found that Project Ahmad had all the 5 elements, the 5 key elements of a nuclear weapons program. I want to take them one by one. First element is designing nuclear weapons.
So what Netanyahu was saying is very, very important. And I know that we are going to see some other declaration. He's speaking also to world leaders, so it's very important.
And it's vital for you to know this information, because Iran really is a big threat, and it's something we're going to be talking about in the program as well. One of the things that we really appreciate and we get to do on our update, the Israel First update, is to bring emails, just a couple of fast emails from viewers who are writing in. Thank you so much for that. We do appreciate your emails. We can't see all of them, but we appreciate hearing from you. Rob from the United States says that he likes the program and the language lessons, Natalie. He enjoys the Hebrew language at the end of the program. Julian, who's a friend, we know Julian for many years, Julian, a friend from the United Kingdom, says, wishing you blessings as you continue to secure special guests for each program, and we do hope that you enjoy the different guests. If you do have a question, do send them in, because even if sometimes we can get the guest again, and then sometimes we can also send them off to the guest for you. Jennifer from the United Kingdom says, very informative programs. And then finally, Chris from the United Kingdom says, so enjoying your program. So thank you so much. Don't forget, you can email us at info@israelfirst.org, and that'd be great to hear from you. Well,
you know what, one thing also you need to know, that people are watching the YouTube from all around the world, and we're looking at special names like Samoa and Indonesia. I mean, obviously America, Saudi Arabia. So it's interesting to know that the YouTube is watched, all around the world too.
Whatever way you can communicate with us, whether it's by email or YouTube or by Facebook, do write to us. Tell us where you're writing from, and if we get time onto another program, we'll try and read those out to you. Well, one of the big news stories that's been happening since we saw you last for the update is the 70th anniversary of the State of Israel, and I've got the Jerusalem Post from the 70th anniversary, and it says local and foreign aircraft wow crowds in an international flyover. And one of the things that is done in Israel for the each anniversary of the independence of Israel from 1948, they have a flyover. The Air Force send planes across the country, and this year the airborne demonstrations were held over 49 cities and towns across in the north, from Kiryat Shimona, that's right in the north of Israel, to Eilat in the south. And there are all sorts of military planes and civilian planes, attack helicopters, transport aircraft, and there are also foreign aircraft take place.
I was very pleased to see that. It's like Israel doesn't want to be by themselves. They want to be with the nations. And I was thinking, I don't know if France will, when they have the 14th of July, I don't know if they are going to ask the neighbors, hey, come and do some, be with us. And this is what Israel is doing. I thought that it was very cool.
And so, this was an amazing year because it's the 70th year. And so there wasn't just aircraft were involved with flyovers, but the Israeli Navy was involved, and also there was parachuting from different aircraft across the country. Also, one of the things the Israelis like to do is for barbecues. They were barbecuing all across the country for the 70th years, and it's very, very significant, the 70 years of Israel. Well, one of the other things that's happening, and I've spoken about Haaretz before, it's a left-wing newspaper, but it's interesting. I can give a fair share of of what's happening here, and it says, Haaretz says, ball in Iran's court as Israel draws red lines, and it's got the photograph of the Israeli troops on the northern border. And Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman has warned that Israel maintains freedom of action in Syria and will not allow Iranian entrenchment to infiltrate the war-torn country. We maintain absolute freedom of action, and the only considerations that guide us are the security considerations of Israel. With regards to Iran, we will simply not allow for a Shiite Muslim consolidation and Iranian entrenchment. And many of you who have been watching the news from Israel have seen that there have been activities going on, actions going on in Syria. There's Iranian bases been set up.
And there is a lot of Iranian army over there now in Syria. So Israel know that they are not playing games. Like, you know, when we speak about Gaza and it's bad what's happening, but they are playing, it's like a bit like naughty children. But Iran is a very serious threat for Israel, but also for the other countries. And they are doing bigger missiles. And so things are happening.
The very great danger, actually, is that Russia is also getting involved, or has been involved for many years in Syria, but is also getting involved as far as Iran is concerned. So it's a very dangerous combination that's happening in the north with Syria, with Russia, with Iran, with the building of bases, with the transportation of anti-aircraft missiles into Syria. And so it's something that we're really monitoring for you, and as I say, every day we do a Facebook story. We also do the news on the Natalie's weekly newsletter, which you can subscribe to. You say, well, how can I do that? I didn't get a chance to write it down when you talked about it. Well, just go to the website, www.israelfirst.org, and there's a subscribe button for the newsletter. There's also the YouTube link, how you can see the programs. We also put on the website, there's a lot of information there about the TV networks, so you can keep up to date with which stations are showing the programs. One of the important things is that because of the work that we're doing, we really appreciate and need your support, and we are very grateful for your support. We are currently raising funds for the new ministry vehicle. We need a new vehicle to be able to do the work here, to be able to do on location filming, and also all sorts of other things to be able to go out. So we're raising, I think it's approximately 12,000 pounds, I think in pounds, and also I think it's about $14,000. But if you would like to get involved in that, that's something you can do. Do email us if you're not sure how to do that. And we do, for our friends in the United States, if you're watching in the United States, we do have our friends Science Bridge, who will be able to process your donation, and we'll put the information on the screen how they can go there and do that, isn't it, Natalie?
Yeah, and it's to carry on bringing you some news from here in Israel, the real news. Something which is very exciting also now, Guatemala has their embassy in Jerusalem. And you know, when we speak about all this news, I think it's important to look in the Bible. And today I love Zechariah, and we've learned the language, we learn it in Hebrew, and it's Zechariah, and we are learning. It's been tricky to learn all this name with the prophets. You know, it's not easy either for me because, I don't know, language is, you know, it's not my forte. Anyhow, so we look in chapter 8, and it's written, a message come from Adonai Tsevaot. Adonai Tsevaot say, I'm extremely jealous on Zion's behalf, and I'm jealous for her with great fury. And we were saying last time, jealous and zealous is exactly the name, the same name in Hebrew. So you can say that Adonai say, I am zealous, because it makes it a bit different. I am zealous for her with great fury. And Adonai say, I am returning to Zion, and I will live in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. So again, it's like, you know, the nations are saying, hey, we are coming back also to Jerusalem, and we want to stand here with you. And I thought this is just amazing to see what's happening. So there is a fight. there is a great fight for Israel to be in the right place and for the nation to recognize Israel, because there is a lot of anti-Semitism. We heard again this week Abbas, who was saying some really outrageous things about Israel, like the Jewish people had the Holocaust because they were like taking the money of people. I mean, he's like really
anti-Semitic.
Yeah, he's a leader, and like he's saying these kind of things in front of all his people, and he's not on. So the EU, for the first time, I saw that today, was saying, okay, this is not on, and I say, of course, it's not on, but it's like it's so important. Like we need to give honor to God, and if we want to honor God, we have to honor the land of Israel and its people. And like they have given us the Torah, they have given us the Bible, they are giving us the way how to know, how to follow God, and we need to honor them. It's so important.
And one of the interesting things you mentioned about Netanyahu's speech, because of the Iranian nuclear project, the Iranian documents that have been found regarding the bomb that has been probably constructed, we don't know, but there's a threat of that and all the documents. And you say, well, Martin, why is it so serious? Well, this is the Jerusalem Post, and the headlines are, Saudi Crown Prince says if Tehran, that's Iran, develops nuclear weapons, so will we. Saudi Arabia is saying that if Iran, so there's a couple of issues here. The first issue is that it's causing an arms race, that if Iran has arms, then other countries in the Middle East will get them, probably Saudi Arabia and possibly even Egypt. And not just that, but it's extremely dangerous if Iran has nuclear weapons and is starting to do things on Israel's border in the north, on the Lebanese border, and they're starting to get involved there. All sorts of things could happen. So this is very, very serious, and unfortunately the world's media hasn't taken what Netanyahu has said maybe as serious as it should. Some have, but it's certainly something we want to make you informed about.
A lot of things are moving on, and there is the Prime Minister from Japan who came, which is Mr. Shinzo Abe, and he came for the second time in Israel, and he brought now some CEOs from Japan. There is more investments that happening, and the cabinet in 2015 wanted to see that, the cabinet from Israel, and now there is a lot of investment, and they are very happy. And not only that, Netanyahu and the Prime Minister, his name is Abe, say we need to have a direct flight now from Japan to Israel. Wow. So again, more tourists, more people coming, more people seeing the truth of what's happening in Israel and the beauty of Israel.
And we've been talking about the expansion of the Ben Gurion airport, the new construction of a brand new airport in the south of Israel, and to cater for all these people who will be coming. And we've just recently in Jerusalem, we had the CEO of Alibaba, which is the biggest, some people say it's the biggest online retailer in the world, even bigger than Amazon, Alibaba in China. And he was here visiting Israel, visiting Jerusalem and praying at the Western Wall. So amazing to see people from all around the world coming to Israel and to see the embassies moving. We're just about, in the time that we're doing the program, we're just about to see the American embassy come across as well to be opened. Very exciting to be opened in Jerusalem. So absolutely an amazing time. So if you would like to help us, as you've heard earlier, that with different projects that we've got, please do get in touch with us. Go to the website, there's a donate button. You can support us by that way. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Shalom, dear friends. Wonderful to be with you today. We are looking at the writings today, which is Ketuvim. We look at the Tanakh, do you remember, which is the Hebrew Bible. Tanakh, Te for Torah, Ne for Nevi'im, the prophets, and Ke for Ketuvim. So is what we are looking. Ketuvim, the writings, there is 11 books, but we're looking just at 3 today, which is the Psalms and the Proverbs and also Job. So the Tehillim is the Psalms. There is 150. Now, very often we say that is a Psalm of David, but not because he wrote all of them, but because he collected them and he wrote some. But there is some Psalms who are written by Adam, and some by Shem, and by Abraham, and by Moses, and by some others. But David after collected them all and composed some. It's just amazing because it's like they are really an aspiration for courage, for hope. You can use them for rejoicing, you can use them when you are sad, and the Psalms really show the human heart. Then we have Mishle, which is the Proverbs. And we say Mishle Shlomo is like the Proverbs of Solomon. The Proverbs are really a book who compile two main stories, the way of wisdom and the way of foolishness. And there is three names also that very important in the Proverbs. Chokhmah, which is wisdom. You have also Bina, which is understanding, and you have Da'at, which is knowledge. There is a beautiful verse in Proverbs, and it's like the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And we know wisdom itself is the greatest reward of all. Now, the last book is Job, and the name in Hebrew is Eov. Again, we don't really know who wrote the book, but it's one of the oldest books in the Bible. And it's a story you can really see the connection between heaven and earth. You see the story at the beginning, Satan speaking to God and say, you know what, Job is blessing you because you bless him. Take the blessing and he will curse you. And God allowed that, and Job lost his children, and his servants, and his health, and even his wife said, come on, curse God. And Job said, no, I won't curse God. And so this is a beautiful story that we can stick to God, and God will really, at the end of the story, you see that Job has some other children, and that he stick to God, and it was the right things to do. So today we look at three names. We look at Tehillim, which is the Psalms. We look at Mishle, which is Proverbs, and we look at the last one, which is Job, and in Hebrew is Eov. We've done again three names together in Hebrew. We're getting so good. See you next week. Bye.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week as we looked at the newspapers, we looked at the news from Israel. Don't forget to email us. We love to receive your emails at info@israelfirst.org. Visit the website. There's a lot of information there, www.israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.